Spy isn't sneaky. He doesn't stab. But, you know, you've got to get behind players to do the stab. So, as a spy, you'll need to learn about how the enemy lines work in order to get behind them. So let's go over the 4 layers of the enemy lines. The front line, the back line, the behind lines, and the behind spawn.
Wait, haven't you made a video like this before?
Nope, I have never made a video like this before. Starting with the front lines, this is where you find the main player classes like Soldier, Demo, Heavy, and Scout. The best way to identify where this is within an imaginary line that indicates where a majority of players are coming into contact with each other. This is where most of the fighting happens, and as a result, this is the hardest part to get past.
Preposterous!
Cloak before you round the corner to where you think the front lines are so you don't get spotted by half the enemy team at once.
Spy!
But don't assume that just because you're invisible, that the enemy team won't manage to kill you. So yeah, one really difficult part of getting behind lines is not getting hit by crossfire. You have 3 options here. 1. Be really patient and wait for a good opening to get past. 2. Brush up on your movement and prediction skills so you can evade the crossfire without getting caught. Or 3. Just use a flank if there's one available, because honestly, it's the best option in cases where you have it. Now, you're past the front lines, and we move on to the back lines. The back lines are where you'll typically find engineers, snipers, and retreating players. The back lines tend to have a lot of cover, which is really helpful to the aforementioned players. Looking for where cover is and potential engineer nests is the best way to identify where the back lines are. The distance between the front lines and back lines isn't consistent, as it's mainly influenced by the map and the game state. But the back lines are always behind the front lines. Duh. But if you go beyond the back lines, you'll find yourself in the behind lines. Here, there are very few players, typically only the odd players making their way from spawn to the front lines, or that one lost free-to-play. The behind lines are simply the space between where the back lines end and the enemy spawn, unless the end of the back lines is spawn, like on the last point of most payload maps. But in the case where there's more space after that, you have the behind spawn, the place that's good for hiding since you almost never find anyone here. Wait, what you looking at?
Can't even... I know I got my shit, okay.
Oh, fuck, okay. Oh, I didn't know I had that mod on. Okay,
So, anyway, let's work backwards and give some tips on what you can do with the various layers of enemy lines. The behind spawn is generally an excellent hiding place from enemy players hunting you down, as it doesn't take much to lose them since there's usually so many options for where you can go, so you can retreat to this area if you're being hunted or you just need to get a health pack safely. The behind lines, as mentioned before, are where you'll find players running from spawn to the front lines, and as a result, some of these players can seem like easy pickings. But be aware that since players here have literally nothing else to do, they'll be more aware of spies than normal, especially if they aren't new players. Also, due to the lack of noise pollution caused by combat, decloaking near someone can be a bigger risk than normal, since they're much more likely to hear it and react. If you're going to decloak near someone in the behind lines, do it at a safe distance so you have a chance to get away in case they hear it. Also, sometimes you may notice that the behind lines is completely vacant of any players. Well, that may be because thanks to the engineer, the enemy team has unlocked the power of...
teleportation.
How do you deal with this? Well, a common strategy is just to walk to their spawn and sap and shoot the teleporter entrance. This may seem like a lot of effort, but depending on how big the behind lines is, getting rid of the teleporter drastically increases the amount of time between players respawning and reaching the front lines, not only opening up more opportunities to kill lonely players, but also taking a ton of pressure off of your team. As a very good sentryman once said, sentries get kills, dispensers save lives, and teleporters win games. Seriously, a good engineer maintaining a teleporter can carry his team, so take that thing out if you get an opportunity, unless you decide to instead take the enemy teleporter to get close to the engineer and take out the entire nest. This nicely transitions into the backlines. The backlines can hold some particularly good targets. People often use the backlines as a retreat option, so as a result, some players are lured into a false sense of security there. You'll sometimes catch out low health players looking for a health pack, and since Spy can see the health of any players, don't forget that Spy has a gun! snipers are often really tunnel visioned with being scoped in, so they can often be easy pickings. And even with a Razorback, they tend to forget that Spy has a gun. Oh wait, I spent that joke already. Engineers may seem like easy pickings, but good engineers are typically rather spy aware, so without going into too much detail, you're best to go for them when they're distracted, usually by your own team.
Oh! Damn it, Spy!
Okay, so for the Frontlines. Players here can be pretty distracted by the more immediate threat in front of them. Distracted players in the Frontlines are generally your best targets, but be aware of other players seeing you before you get the stab and shooting you to prevent said stabbing.
Spy!
And also after you get the stab and everyone turning around and hearing the scream of your victim. In situations like this, you'll really need to rely on your movement and cloak to get out of there. In some cases, players may be so distracted with fighting your team that you'll be able to backstab multiple of them in a row. Which, yeah.